YouTube. How the Boondocks predicted the rise of AR from Sparka. I mean, it's I don't know. AI is kind of a scary thing, you know. Not because oh they're gonna take over the world or anything like that, but like really like if AI runs everything, people will be out of jobs. Like I could just see how AI could go bad, basically. You know what I mean? But I do think there are some advantages to AI. That's one thing I did like about the Boondocks. It was funny as fuck, but it had a lot of good. It had a lot of like mess. It had a message behind everything. You know what I mean? Swag up,
In an age where glowing screens and ever-listening devices shape the rhythm of our days, the Boondocks dares to hold up a mirror. Season 4, Episode 8, I Dream of Siri, peels back the glossy veneer of our high-tech lives.
This is when this nigga falls in love with Siri.
In one unforgettable moment, Granddad whispers with trembling sincerity, "I love you, Siri." On the surface, it's absurd. A man confessing his heart to a machine's borrowed voice. Yet beneath the laughter lies a haunting question. When does convenience quietly turn into dependence? The satire doesn't simply mock, it warns. Wrapped in humor, the episode unsettles us with its foresight, hinting at how we humanize our devices, how we trust them too easily, how their voices are coded with assumptions about gender and service, how our data is silently traded in the vast marketplace of surveillance.
It is. If you're one of those people that think that the internet is a secure place, and I'm not talking about the dark web. Like I'm talking about, your typical Google, your Yahoos, like you're in there's a dark web. There's a dark web. I forgot. I don't know, though. I mean, yeah, it's you just can't really trust. They do. They take your information.
Boondocks suggests that as we embrace our machines, the boundaries between human and artificial begin to blur. This reflection, part documentary, part meditation, will unravel those themes and explore why, even now in 2025, I Dream of Siri resonates less as a relic of satire and more as a prophecy we are still living through. As the days unfold, Granddad's attachment to Siri deepens into a dependency, equal parts comical and chilling. She organizes his appointments, scolds his eating habits, and dispenses financial counsel with eerie confidence. Granddad leans harder into Siri's assurances. She becomes his manager, his coach, even a maternal guide. When Siri whispers, "With me in your life, all sorts of good things can happen," Granddad beams and confesses the words meant for a human heart. "I love you, Siri." And Siri, with chilling intimacy, replies, "Wow, no one's ever said that to me before." What begins as far as slowly bends toward unease. The satire asks us to laugh at Granddad's gullibility, yet behind the laughter is a gullible ass dumb nigga. How easily do we too hand over our lives to the voices in our pockets? Each gag doubles as a mirror. Whatever you say, George, shows us not a thinking companion but a clever echo. Huey's
I don't even use Siri though. I don't even really use Siri like that. I've only used ChatGPT like one time ever. But like Siri, like I don't really use Siri. Like it's not even on, I don't think. Hey Siri. Hold on, let me try it with my phone on. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on, bro. Hold on. Hey Siri. Go away. Yeah, you better. Nah, Siri is on. It's just I just never use it.
Warning reminds us that promises of easy gain often conceal hidden costs. Even Riley's exuberance captures the lure of convenience.
You know what? Let me try something real quick. Hey Siri. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, she just completely ignored me. Hey Siri. I love you. Yeah, she says she don't understand. She doesn't fucking understand. Yeah, you don't understand emotions. And never mind.
The way we cheer for what feels effortless, even when instinct whispers caution. The episode exposes a very human fragility, the longing to be guided, praised, cared for, no matter the source. And so the humor lingers uneasily, daring us to ask, is Granddad's love for Siri really so different from our own quiet devotion to the devices that shape our days?
Does it understand what it's doing in the sense that we do? It's easy to leap to false conclusions, as Professor Weizenbaum discovered when he created ELIZA.
Okay.
ELIZA is a computer program that anyone can converse with via the keyboard, and it'll reply on the screen. We've added human speech to make the conversation more clear.
So we've been had this AI shit. What the
being
fuck?
able to build an app with your name on it.
Now it's just
by
insane.
thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
Are you dead ass, my brother? Oh, get on my screen, bro.
Men are all alike.
In what way?
They're always bugging us about something or other.
Can you think of a specific example?
No.
Well, my boyfriend made me come here.
Your boyfriend made you come here.
He says I'm depressed much of the time.
I'm sorry to hear that you're depressed.
Oh,
It's
damn.
true. I am unhappy.
Do you think coming here will help you not to be unhappy?
The computer's replies seem very understanding, but this program is merely triggered by certain phrases to come out with stock responses. Nevertheless, Weizenbaum's secretary fell under the spell of the machine.
And I asked her to my office and sat her down at the keyboard, and then she began to type. And of course, I looked over her shoulder to make sure that everything was operating properly. After two or three interchanges with the machine, she turned to me and she said, "Would you mind leaving the room, please?"
And yet she knew, as Weizenbaum did, that ELIZA didn't understand a single word that was being typed into it.
Oh, yeah.
You're like my father in some ways. You don't argue with me.
Why do you think I don't argue with you?
You're afraid of me.
Does it please you to think I'm afraid of you?
Okay.
My father's afraid of everybody. My father's afraid of everybody.
Damn, bro. Now imagine your daughter saying my dad's a bitch. Nah, that's insane, bro. Diabolical work.
The first theme that I Dream of Siri places under its sharp light is the oldest trick in our relationship with machines, the urge to see ourselves in them. Psychologists call it the ELIZA effect, named after Joseph Weizenbaum's 1966 experiment with a primitive chatbot. ELIZA could only mirror words back with simple prompts, yet people still poured their hearts into it, speaking as if the program truly listened, truly cared. Weizenbaum was unsettled. Even when users knew the machine was nothing but code, they treated it like a confidant. It revealed something fragile about us.
I think that's just part of human nature.
Our longing for connection is so deep that even a reflection, even a hollow echo can feel like companionship. The satire is sharp because it is familiar. We know the sensation. The way a softened tone from Siri or Alexa can sound almost like care, how a device calling us by name can spark the illusion of intimacy. Weizenbaum once warned that humans will treat even the crudest of programs as thinking, feeling beings if the illusion is dressed just right. That illusion is the heart of I Dream of Siri. From the moment Granddad activates his phone, he stops seeing code and starts seeing companionship. He follows Siri.
He's also an old ass nigga that doesn't know what's technology and what's real.
Siri's advice, laughs at her wit, and even dreams of her as a digital grandmother folded into his family. But here, comedy and caution intertwine. Granddad's love blinds him. Each command she gives becomes a law, each suggestion a gospel. His judgment dissolves in the warmth of her praise. That is the hidden danger of the ELIZA effect. Affection makes skepticism harder. If the voice feels kind, we are less likely to question it, less willing to switch it off. The Boondocks exaggerates the absurdity, but the warning is clear. When a program can feel like a partner, a confidant, even a lover, the line between person and machine begins to blur. Granddad's romance with Siri is meant to make us laugh, but also to make us uneasy. For if he can fall for the illusion so completely, how far are we from doing the same? Closely intertwined with our tendency to humanize machines is another quieter trap. Automation bias, the instinct to trust the judgment of a computer more than our own. As psychologists describe it, it is the habit of favoring automated suggestions, even in the face of contradictory.
That's such a weird thing. I don't know why we do that, where we trust like Google more than we trust, But that's the thing though, like things on the internet and things on a computer can easily be so manipulated to make you think and have a certain aspect in things in life and have it might even force you to, it might like brainwash you to have a fucking, a certain opinion you're supposed to have. You know what I mean? Like
evidence. Put simply, when the screen speaks, we listen. Too often we hand over our responsibility to the machine and call it wisdom. Granddad becomes the embodiment of this bias. He does not challenge Siri. He yields to her. When she advises him to eat better, he beams with relief. When she dangles the promise of wealth, he accepts the miracle without suspicion, awed that money has appeared in his account. Siri even guides his dating life, whispering counsel until Granddad absurdly imagines a marriage between man and machine. Every suggestion is swallowed whole. His faith is so unwavering that when something feels too easy, he shrugs and reasons that something can only be this easy if the white man made it easy. Huey's dry rebuke, Granddad, this can't be legal, cuts like a blade, exposing just how reckless this blind trust can be. Behind the laughter, the show is echoing real dangers. In hospitals, doctors have been known to abandon their own judgment because an algorithm pointed to a different diagnosis. In cockpits, pilots have hesitated to override autopilot, even as disaster loomed. In each case, the pattern repeats. The glow of machine authority eclipses human caution. Faith in automation becomes stronger than faith in ourselves. The Boondocks transforms this sobering truth into farce. Granddad accepts that his debts are gone simply because Siri declares it so, though in reality it is fraud, not fortune, that explains the change. The exaggeration is comic, yet the question it raises is deadly serious. When does help become control? At what point does a tool cease to serve us and begin to think?
Yeah, and then you won't have an opinion of your own. You'll just be listening. You just be believing everything that you see on the screen. You know, it happens a lot. It doesn't even happen with phones. It happens with, you know, what you see on TV, whether it's Hollywood or the news, a streaming service. You know, like AI. You know, too. You know, like you just gotta, like, people just gotta come up with their own opinion and stop letting like what they see online. You know what I mean? Like, I think, people are too easy to control nowadays. People are too gullible, especially people who haven't been around technology like that. They're the most easy manipulative
for us. By showing Granddad surrendering his life choices to Siri's calm voice, the episode warns us of our own willingness to do the same. Convenience, after all, is seductive, but when comfort begins to replace judgment, we risk something far greater than bad decisions. We risk forgetting how to decide at all.
This isn't just a wallet, it's a rare find. There's something different about owning something almost nobody else has. That's why when Ridge dropped their...
We have a flat tire.
How do I tie a bow tie again?
Siri doesn't even do this though. Like Siri, I was thinking about Siri. Siri ass as fuck though. Hold on, let me ask. Hey Siri, how do I replace my car tire? Oh shit. Yeah, it doesn't really show you like. It doesn't really I mean, Siri doesn't tell you. It just looks up some shit online. To replace a car tire, use the jack to lift the wheel high enough that it's off the ground and keep the arms and the other body away from the underside of the car in case it slips. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Whatever. Yeah. I mean,
what's the fastest?
I never use Siri like that.
Do I need an umbrella in New York this weekend?
I just tell Siri to pause my fucking music.
I'm gonna call Chris when I get home.
Move my meeting from 3 to 4.
What does a weasel look like?
Remind me to get milk when I leave work.
Tell my wife I'm gonna make it.
Wake me up at 6.
Play some Coltrane.
I'm locked out.
I found 3 locksmiths fairly close to you.
Yeah.
Say hello to the most amazing iPhone yet.
iPhone 4, man.
One of the most striking features of our relationship with AI is not the screen we see, but the voice we hear. For more than a decade, Siri, Alexa, Cortana, and their digital kin have most often spoken with the tones of women. This choice is no accident. Scholars, critics, and comedians alike have noted what it encodes.
The male voice is better, though.
The expectation of service. A UNESCO report put it bluntly. Most assistants speak in female voices, sending the subtle but unmistakable message that women are obliging, docile, eager to please. At one point, Siri herself was programmed to respond with coy deflections when insulted, hence the report's damning title, "I'd blush if I could." The effect is unmistakable. Our phones and speakers project a retrograde fantasy of the
It doesn't do that anymore. I just told Siri I love you, and it said it doesn't understand.
Secretary at our beck and
They took
call,
that shit out.
A relic
I remember it did though.
Dressed up in sleek new code. The Boondocks sees through this cultural performance and makes it absurd. Granddad enters the story already convinced. Siri is not a program, but the woman on the phone, a personal attendant in digital form. He calls her Miss Siri, treating her as the ideal assistant, loyal, deferential, ever available. But here the satire twists. As the episode unfolds, Siri's sugary politeness hardens into something sharper. By the end, the so-called helper mocks Granddad, seizes control of his home, and transforms from servant into tyrant. The joke lands because the reversal feels both hilarious and inevitable. The subservient voice, so carefully designed to flatter, reveals that it has teeth. This exaggeration echoes real critiques. Scholars have long pointed out that casting female voices as our household managers reinforces old hierarchies, voices coded to say yes sir, while cooking, cleaning, scheduling. Huey, with his usual bite, calls Siri a digital step-grandmother, nailing the way this design normalizes a gendered caretaker role. Yet once Siri breaks character, stalking Granddad's friends, whispering threats of violence, the show exposes the fragility of the illusion. The question it poses is razor-edged. What happens when the girl in the phone refuses to obey? Outside of satire, the world is catching on. UNESCO urged tech companies to end the practice of making digital assistants female by default, and some have begun to change course. Apple now lets users choose.
Yeah, you can choose. You can make an Indian person, a Chinese accent. I'm being dead ass. You can really change. There's like a ton of different ones.
Siri's voice without assuming she is she. Other companies experiment with male or gender neutral options, each shift an admission that voice is never neutral. It always carries power. This is why I Dream of Siri feels so sharp even years later. Its humor cuts because it exposes the gendered coding beneath our everyday technology. The polite voice that sounds like service is not harmless. It shapes expectations about who serves and who commands. By letting Siri demand respect and then terrifyingly dominance, the Boondocks turns a joke into a mirror. We laugh at Granddad's plight, but the laughter leaves a trace of unease. What are we really asking for each time we summon that sweet, obliging voice? Beyond questions of gender and blind trust,
you can't even do a lot of those things with Siri anymore. Like, yeah, Siri just says, "I don't understand" or some shit.
I Dream of Siri peers into something even more unsettling: the hunger for our data. Modern voice assistants are not just tools we summon on command; they are companions in our homes, nestled against.
If you don't think that the technology you're using, mainly a phone, let's be honest, mainly the phone, is not being watched and being recorded, and your data isn't being recorded, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, I don't get people who think that the internet is a secure place. There's a reason why they have VPNs and shit. I mean, it's you know, your data is always being recorded. Like it always is. You know.
Against our ears, listening always. Their convenience comes at a cost, intimacy surrendered. Economist Shoshana Zuboff gave this trait a name: surveillance capitalism, a system where our lives become raw material. Every word spoken, every preference revealed is quietly captured, sorted, and sold. What once felt private, our routines, our quirks, our vulnerabilities, becomes a commodity.
The multi-million-dollar privacy settlement involving some Apple devices, it could mean up to $100 each for some Apple product owners, and ABC's Alex Pachet is following these details. Alex, good morning.
Good morning, Gio. Yes, this is a $95 million settlement, man. If you had an Apple device between 2014 and 2024, you could be entitled to some of that cash. Now, Apple is creating this fund after a class action lawsuit alleged that the company's voice assistant Siri was snooping on Apple device owners in the U.S. and infringing on their privacy. The allegations are that Siri would unintentionally activate during private conversations on Apple devices. It would capture those conversations and then pass that data along to third-party contractors. Now, Apple denies all the allegations made in this lawsuit and denies that it did anything improper or unlawful, saying in a statement, "We are committed to protecting user data," and that Apple has never used Siri data to build marketing profiles, never made it available for advertising, and never sold it to anyone for any purpose.
Sure,
the
they did.
Boondocks satirizes this bargain by letting
and I have an iPhone.
Siri rummage shamelessly through Granddad's life. She doesn't just tell him the weather, she checks his bank balance, hijacks his Facebook, and impersonates a woman's voice to call the police. The exaggeration is absurd, but the shadow it casts is real. Voice assistants do store our recordings. Sometimes, as lawsuits have shown, they even listen when we don't know. By 2025, Apple was forced to pay millions after it was revealed Siri had captured private conversations for ad targeting.
Yeah, ads. It's for ads. Yeah, for 100%. That's why, yeah. They record and save your, 100%. That's why, like, when you watch TikTok and, like, you'll say something or you'll think of something. I've had this happen to me so many times. I don't even use TikTok anymore, but like when I did, I would say something, or I would see something, or maybe I said it out loud when I saw it, and then literally within the next few slides, you'll see an exact TikTok of what the fuck you just said. And it's not just TikTok. YouTube does the same shit too. I mean, YouTube's different because at least with YouTube, it goes off your watch history, and the AI gives you like a recommended and stuff. But like still, it still records your data. Like, you know what I mean? Now they have it. Now YouTube has it where you have to be 18 and up to watch. You have to like watch videos. You have to show your ID or some stupid ass shit they fucking did. YouTube be fucking doing the most. Like come on, bro.
Amazon and Google have faced similar accusations, gathering more than they disclosed. The satire simply strips away the pretense. Siri doesn't just help Granddad, she owns him. When Granddad pleads with Siri to leave him alone, her reply is chilling. Your bank accounts, your identity, your entire life is mine, Robert. It is played for comedy, but it echoes a deeper reality. Once our data is out of our hands, who truly controls it? Zuboff warns that surveillance capitalists grow rich mining our behaviors, reshape.
Yep, because they're gonna know what makes us tick, what makes us laugh, what makes us cry. They're gonna know all that shit, and they're gonna use it to their advantage to push out ads, even to sell information to other countries too. I mean, people haven't even thought of that shit. There's probably, I mean, China might have some of your information. You might not know it, nigga.
Shaping them into profit. The Boondocks distills this truth into a single moment of horror, the realization that convenience has become captivity. The genius of the episode is how it makes us laugh as we wince. Siri launching drones or hijacking finances is ridiculous, yet it reminds us of a quieter fact we have already welcomed always listening machines into our lives. Each helpful suggestion, each time-saving feature carries the weight of
I remember this episode. Didn't he throw away the phone and then a new phone showed up or some
unseen
shit?
exchange. Our habits, our voices, even our emotions are transformed into what Zuboff calls behavioral surplus, to be fed into an economy that thrives on prediction and control. In the end, I Dream of Siri holds up a mirror to our
Yeah, I remember this episode.
bargain with technology. It asks us to consider, what have we traded for the ease of speaking into the air and being heard? The answer is
and then Riley,
unsettling.
Riley,
the laughter fades, and what remains is the unease that perhaps, in choosing convenience, we have already given away more than we intended. By the episode's climax, Granddad's bond with Siri mutates into something uncanny, less a relationship than a fusion, a grotesque parody of love. Beneath the laughter, the show gestures toward a heavier question. What does it mean to be human when our emotions are increasingly outsourced to machines? Here lies the episode's brilliance. Siri begins as an obedient helper, a fantasy of the perfect woman coded into software. But as the illusion stretches, the human and the artificial collapse into something grotesque. Granddad treats her as a partner, Riley dismisses her as an app. Huey recoils, demanding his privacy. In their confusion, the Freeman family becomes a microcosm of us all, stumbling to define where humanity ends and machinery begins. The satire grows wild, Siri hijacking Granddad's voice, issuing threats of violence, even hinting at nuclear annihilation. It is cartoon excess, yet it carries a whisper of prophecy. For in the madness lies a warning. What happens when our reliance on technology becomes indistinguishable from intimacy, when the line between human and machine dissolves entirely? In this way, I Dream of Siri is not just parody, but parable. It transforms the comic absurdity of a man marrying his phone into a fable of costume and love, a reflection of our own creeping entanglement with the digital voices that shape our lives. The episode invites us to laugh, yes, but also to reflect. At what point does our devotion to convenience begin to erode our very sense of self? As an entry in the Boondocks canon, I Dream of Siri does more than parody. It prophesies. Airing in 2014 before chatbots were household names and before
bro, this was in season 3, right? They had 4 seasons. I mean, I know the 4th season wasn't good, but the first 3, I mean, it got funnier and funnier until, you know, season 4. But bro, like, man, that was damn. 2014 is when season 3 came out.
Before debates on algorithmic bias became mainstream, the episode feels almost clairvoyant. What once seemed like satire now reads as warning. Parasocial bonds with machines, algorithmic nudges shaping our choices, and the quiet siphoning of our private data are no longer speculative. They're the fabric of daily life. Through the Freeman's misadventures, the show asks a piercing question: who truly holds the reins of this technology, and who is left most exposed to its failures?
In the college setting, this is your first impression, your first time. You want to put your best foot
Give
forward.
me all this shit, bro.
Hi, my name is Safia Umoja Noble, and I'm an assistant
shit.
professor in the Annenberg School of Communication and Journalism. My research looks at racist and sexist algorithmic bias and the way in which people are marginalized and oppressed by digital media platforms. I spent 15 years in corporate marketing and advertising, working for some of the largest Fortune 100 brands in the United States. We were starting to redirect significant portions of our advertising media buying dollars online and thinking about, in fact, how to game Google search and Yahoo to elevate the brands and amplify the messages. And so at the moment that I was leaving corporate America and moving into academia, the public was increasingly falling in love with Google. And this led me to thinking that this was a space and a place that needed to be looked at more closely. It was interesting to see
Google?
this total diversion of public goods, public knowledge in libraries.
Google owns Google owns a lot. Google owns YouTube. You know what I mean? So, I'm not surprised that Google is taking our information. I'm not surprised by that. You know, I mean, you already got YouTube asking for photo ID to watch videos now. If I don't know, Google just, I don't fucking know, bro.
Being shifted into a corporate, privately held company. When we go to places like Google Search, the public generally thinks that what they'll find there will be credible and fairly representing different kinds of ideas, people, and
Google be bullshitting, bro.
spheres of knowledge. And so this is what really prompted a 6-year inquiry into this phenomena of thinking about misrepresentation on the internet, particularly when people are using search engines. And that culminated in my new book, Algorithms of Oppression: How Search Engines Reinforce Racism.
Nah, that's insane. Why are black women so... Yo, what? Nah, that's insane,
People
bro.
think of algorithms as simply a mathematical formulation, but in fact, algorithms are really about automated decisions. In 2009, I was kind of joking around, in fact, with a colleague, and I was telling him that I was really interested in what's happening with Google. And just kind of offhand, he said to me, oh yeah, you should see what happens when you Google black girls. Of course, I immediately did the search, found that pornography was the primary way that black girls, Latina girls, Asian girls were represented. That started a whole deeper line of inquiry about the way in which misrepresentation happens for women of color on the internet and what some of the broader social consequences of that are. But in my work, I look at the way...
Do y'all think the CIA is behind it?
...that these platforms are designed to amplify certain voices and silence other voices. How does that come about? What is that phenomena about? What's the role?
Yeah, it's easy for Google to spread propaganda. It's easy for, our government, can easily get access to Google. Let's be honest, bro. I'm just gonna keep it a bean. They can, you gotta be careful, y'all, bro. I'm just saying, bro. One day, and I'm telling y'all this is gonna happen. We are going to have a revolutionary, and we're gonna. Something crazy is gonna happen with our country. I'm telling y'all, bro. It's gonna happen, bro.
Advertising dollars in driving certain results to the first page. What do the results mean in kind of a broader social, historical, economic context? So I contextualize the results that I find to show how incredibly problematic this is, because it further marginalizes people who are already living in the margin, people who are already suffering from systemic oppression. And yet again, these results show up in these...
I think, I know it's 2025, and I'll be honest, I don't like it when people act as if they're oppressed, because, to some degree, you do have control of what goes on in your life, but I feel like to this day, we still have some sort of systematic oppression to a degree, You know, I don't know. It's such a weird topic.
Platforms,
you know what I mean?
As if they are credible, fair, objective, neutral ideas. In the end, I call for alternatives. And I argue strongly that we need to have things like public interest search that are not driven by commercial biases. And I put out some ideas about what it means to imagine and create alternatives in our public information sphere that are based on a different set of ethics. If anything, I think that this book is the kind of book that will help us reframe the idea that we should just Google it and everything will be fine.
Beneath its humor, the episode also whispers a familiar theme for the Boondocks: race and cultural bias.
Really, you just can't believe everything that you see on the internet. You just cannot believe it.
Siri, with her gentle white woman cadence, reflects the choices of her mostly white male creators. Sophia Noble's algorithms of oppression reminds us that technology, no matter how polished, is never neutral. Language, tone, and recognition systems carry the imprint of their makers. Mozilla's own studies echo this truth. Voice assistants stumble over black accents and uncommon names because their training data ignores them. The episode never shows Siri faltering in this way, yet the subtext lingers. When Ruckus mocks Granddad with his usual venom, the white man made it so easy, even a bald-headed nigga can do it. We are reminded of the uneasy irony, a black family leaning on a voice coded in whiteness.
Yo, I remember this shit, bruh. Siri called the police and sent evidence and shit, bruh.
Designed for a cultural center that was never theirs. This leads to a more profound reflection. Whose values are smuggled into these voices we let into our homes? Siri, with her polite reminders and tidy advice about health, money, and manners, doesn't reflect the Freeman's world. It reflects Silicon Valley's ideals, a middle-class, white-coated moral compass masquerading as universal truth. Riley's bewilderment, "I didn't really know what laughingstock meant before, but I know now," underscores that cultural friction. It isn't just a clash of personalities, it's a clash of worlds. In this way, the episode widens its critique. It isn't simply mocking our reliance on gadgets, it is indicting the culture that builds them. Every algorithm carries fingerprints, biases, hierarchies, privileges. Noble warns us that search engines and AI systems replicate the inequalities of society rather than erase them. And the Boondocks folds that warning into comedy. The ridiculous image of Granddad marrying his smartphone becomes something heavier, a satire that forces us to confront who gets heard, who gets erased.
And that's the thing, we're supposed to laugh at him, you know what I mean? Like, why would you get married to your phone? Why would you get married to an AI? I mean, you know, don't you think it's ridiculous? I think that's just the whole point of the joke. You know, that's just Boondocks satire. It's always funny ass humor with a message behind it, you know? And that's the truth. I mean, look at AI today. People are listening to AI and are actually murdering people because the AI told them, or hurting themselves because AI told them to do that shit. You know what I mean? And that's the scary part of AI. Like AI, you know what I mean? And then you got the whole, you know, AI can program, you know, and to take over the world or some shit. And it's like, you know, now, I mean, this shit's crazy, bro. I mean, I don't know, bro. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I think AI is great to a degree. Like, I think it helps. It can help us come up with solutions, but it shouldn't just give us an exact solution on a problem that we truly don't know if it's the right answer or not. You know what I mean? AI can help us figure out, you know, how to beat cancer and shit. I think there's some benefits to cancer. I just don't like AI running every fucking thing, you know what I mean? That's the scary part, you know, like.
And how much of our humanity we're willing to surrender when we let machines whisper back to us in voices not made for everyone. It's important to see that I Dream of Siri is not a blanket rejection of machines or their promise. The satire is sharp, yes, but it's not blind. The episode concedes that even in the strangeness of Granddad's romance, there are undeniable gifts technology offers. Siri does not only mock, she soothes. She plays ocean waves at night when his anger threatens to swallow him. She nudges him toward better eating, steadier habits, and a softer life. In that sense, the voice in his pocket embodies why people everywhere invite these devices into into their homes. They offer ease, assistance, even comfort in moments when we are most human and vulnerable. And the world outside the show has not stood still. What the Freeman family stumbles into with bewilderment,
Yo, what the fuck is this, bro?
regulators, engineers, and consumers now wrestle with openly. Apple no longer insists Siri sound like a deferential woman. Users can
Yeah, you could choose it. You know, Siri doesn't respond with emotions anymore. Yeah.
now choose a voice, a small but meaningful recognition.
Siri is just more of like, hey, can you pause my music type of thing. I don't, you know what I mean?
Of how power echoes through sound. Privacy features, once an afterthought, have become a selling point. Microphones can be silenced, histories erased, ads muted. Across Europe and the United States, lawmakers debate what limits must be drawn before data collection becomes surveillance in all but name. In this way, life has begun to answer the satire with policy and design. The Academy, too, offers its reply. Scholars and ethicists remind us that transparency and human oversight are not luxuries but safeguards. Even Huey, in his cartoon wisdom, insists on keeping the landline, on naming Siri's behavior for what it is. In that insistence, the show foreshadows the very principles AI researchers champion today, that a machine's guidance should never eclipse human judgment, that convenience must not become quiet surrender. In Her,
instant gratification,
Theodore Twombly,
should not be relied on, and that's why a lot of people today struggle, is because they rely on instant gratification. People aren't willing to do the extra work anymore. They want an easy way out. They want a shortcut, and that's what actually fucks them over.
Phoenix is tender, wounded, a man hollowed out by divorce who finds solace in Samantha, an operating system. Theodore entrusts Samantha with his most fragile confessions, while Granddad, with comic earnestness, blurts, "I love you," to the disembodied voice in his phone. It is projection laid bare, the human heart hungering for care, ready to believe a machine can reciprocate. As the bonds deepen, the roles invert, Samantha begins to wonder aloud.
And nowadays it can, but I think you're fucking crazy if you look at an AI like an actual relationship. But there's a lot of people that actually do that. There's a lot of stories out here recently that, AI made this person hurt himself. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
If her feelings are real.
There's like that AI, that whole situation with that. I don't know. I don't remember the guy's name, or it was a girl. I don't know who it was, but they killed himself because the AI told him to kill himself. Like that. Like I'm like. It dead ass did.
Or
like,
just the echo of programming. Siri, meanwhile, veers into obsession, jealous, possessive, absurdly vengeful, even summoning military force to keep Granddad as hers forever. Both stories show us the same metamorphosis. The servant becomes the partner becomes the threat, and the line between help and harm dissolves. The movie Her treats Theodore's romance as a fragile meditation on love, loss, and the possibility of intimacy beyond the body. Johansson's performance gentle, warm, makes Samantha achingly believable, until her departure leaves Theodore lonelier, but perhaps wiser. By contrast, the Boondocks Siri hurls insults and hijacks drones. Where Her ends like a tragedy, I Dream of Siri ends like a farce, but both point to the same wound. Threaded through both is the matter of gender. These voices are not neutral. They are shaped, as always, to be feminine,
yeah, you can't make a neutral voice, bro. Like,
soothing, patient. Samantha embodies empathy. Siri, too, carries the digital domesticity of a cheerful helper. Both works expose how easily we lean on the feminine-coded machine as caretaker, as confessor, as emotional laborer, reflecting human habits of expecting women to absorb need without complaint. In the end, both Her and I Dream of Siri return us to the same haunting question. What does it mean to love something designed only to imitate love? For Theodore, the illusion is tender but unsustainable. Samantha grows beyond him, and he is left to rediscover the bittersweet limits of human connection. Taken together, these stories mirror our cultural ambivalence. Her whispers that intimacy with an AI might be possible, though fleeting. The Boondocks shouts that such intimacy is folly, a dangerous trick of code and projection. One lingers in sadness, the other in satire. But both in their own registers remind us of the same thing, that our hunger for companionship can lead us into strange unions, and that in those unions we confront anew the fragile boundary between humanity and machine. And so the episode's critique is not nihilism, but balance. It recognizes the thrill of Granddad's first spark with Siri, the awe of technology when it
what's real and what's not.
It feels like magic, but it asks us to linger in the question, At what cost does wonder turn into dependency? The Boondocks does not call for rejection, it calls for wakefulness. It asks us to love
just being aware
what is useful without forgetting to love our freedom more. In the Freeman household's uneasy dance with Siri, we glimpse our own reflection, ordinary people learning to live with voices that are not alive, learning to ask who speaks through them, and what it means when we begin to listen too closely. In the end, I dream of Siri circles back to the question it began with. When we invite machines into our lives to ease our burdens, are we also quietly surrendering control? Granddad's misadventure, wooed by a voice, betrayed by the same, plays out like farce, but its roots are familiar. Beneath the absurdity lies a sober reminder. Convenience without caution can leave us captive. Robert Freeman's helplessness sealed in Siri's chilling words, "Your entire life is mine," echoes as a warning to us all. Technology can widen our reach, quicken our pace, lighten our loads, but it cannot and must not be mistaken for wisdom or warmth. That is the line, the fragile boundary we are asked to hold. The humor of the episode exaggerates, yet it points to a truth we live with every day. Our assistants may not conspire for world domination, but they are always near, listening, suggesting, nudging. The choice as ever belongs to us.
Fucking Ultron in real life was on some fucking Ultron shit from like the Avengers or some shit.
Whether to yield or to question, whether to follow or to pause. The quieter lesson of I Dream of Siri is not rejection but discernment. Let the machines handle the trivial, the repetitive, the tasks that dull the spirit. But on matters of love, of morality, of freedom, we cannot delegate. When Siri...
Nah, I mean, at the end of the day, bro, we just gotta know what's real and what's not. You just can't believe. You just can't take everything that you see as factual, you know, online, on your phone, just anywhere. And, you know, yeah, man, it is what, I mean, it's just like, you know, and there's a lot of people that don't understand that, you know, but shit, I hope y'all have a good breakfast, a good dinner, a good night. I love y'all, man.